I thought we, got some guys healed up, lifted probably a little bit more than we normally do during a week. We did some meeting, put preliminary game plans together for Arizona, and then the coaches, we dove into recruiting. And then, everybody had a little bit of time off. I think that's when I first started off, I didn't realize the importance of it. I just would go 24/7, 365, and it's good for the coaches and more so the players to have a little bit of time off as well, and then crank it back up again, which we did. Started yesterday. Like yesterday was Sunday was a Monday, Monday's a Tuesday, etc. Just moving everything up a day with a game on Friday night.
So you had a regular practice yesterday?
Well, we did our normal Monday practice. We went about an hour. We watched tape. We lifted weights. So it's just regular Monday.
Why do you lift weights heavier in that off week?
Well, you got time to recover. We gave the guys, Friday and Saturday off. So we, got a couple good lift sessions in. You're always careful about lifting lower body a little bit during the season. So we were able to do some of those kind of things.
Willie, as you move forward these last 3 games of the regular season and the meaningful games that are still on there, how do you talk about it to the team about, the possibility of bowl eligibility, that kind of stuff?
I don't. I really just try to focus on each game in itself. I think that's so important to do. And, as I've said many times before, we're not going to roll the ball out and beat anybody. We got to be on top of our game, offense, defense, kicking game, in order to have the outcome that we want to have each and every week. So we're just 100% focused on Arizona. I think that's the way to do it. I just, everybody gets into these what ifs and all this other kind of stuff. We're not at that point in our program to do stuff like that, and I probably never will anyway.
Coach, what have you seen so far from Fafita and McMillan, and what has the practice been like to prepare for those two?
Well, obviously they've got a super experienced quarterback, and one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the country. Just all the typical things you see from quarterbacks nowadays. He's a dual threat guy. Most of the time he's going to stay in there and he's going to throw the ball, but when he does have to tuck and run, he's got great speed and movement. McMillan's a big, tall guy. He's a great target, and he's got super speed, sensational route runner. He does a good job after the catch as well. They're another great quarterback that we're playing and another great receiver that we're playing. I see what all the hype's about. They're both really good players.
Willie, are there similarities or lessons that can be taken from, last time you guys came out of an open week, you were playing a team that had struggled and lost a few, and then it was on the road, and you kind of got the same situation this week between, the Kansas game and this one?
Yeah, but the big part is, we just didn't play very well. That game against Kansas, especially out of the chute, and we had some guys banged up and weren't able to play, and we've got to, I think if we start well at the beginning of the game, it gives us an opportunity, and the other part is I just think it's important to try to do a few things, maybe differently, give a little different look early, offense, defense, kicking game as well, and there's some things we worked on that are a little bit different that we haven't done so far this season, and I'm sure there's going to be some things we're going to see from them that are going to be a little different as well.
Health-wise, anything changed since pre-Kansas State?
I think Everett Rogers is going to be available these last 3 ball games, big defensive lineman. He'll be available. Cedric Melton is out for the year. I think we touched on that last week, I believe, and so really pretty much the same, except I think we're a little healthier.
And is there anything you have to do with 3 freshman running backs, how you handle them?
Oh, it's usually by this point in the season, you got some guys banged up and they're not able to play in games, and it kind of increases reps for the guys that are available. And, thank goodness the guys are all pretty healthy. The 4 guys that were playing the most, Stacy, Rayshawn, Jamarian, and DJ, are all pretty healthy. And I think they all can play at this level, and they're doing a nice job. And, we just got to figure out, who's hot early in the ball game. It usually takes the first half of action to, figure that out as well.
Willie, one of your keys to victories is finishing. You guys are 24-0 in the fourth quarter, the last two games. You just kind of talk about the importance there and what it's meant to those games to finish off strong.
Well, that's how we won the game. We outscored and out time of possession, in both of those games. And, it's so important to, after three quarters, you have a pretty good handle on what you can do and maybe what you shouldn't do and what they're going to be doing. And then you just got to go out and execute and make those plays in crunch time. And our guys have been able to do that. And, that's, that's very important. Good teams finish strongly. They start fast and they finish faster. And that's what we're trying to get our guys to understand how important that fourth quarter is.
Coach, how have you seen Zion kind of develop into your system, and what do you still think he needs to improve on?
Well, he's like, every guy on the team. There's a lot of areas that he can improve on. The consistency is the big part, just being consistent throwing the ball. He's very accurate, 11 of 11 last week, but we'd like to throw the ball a little bit more than what we've been throwing it. And there was a few opportunities in the game last week where, I think he could have held on the ball a little bit and thrown it and instead of taking off and running, and that comes with time and experience. He still has not gotten a ton of reps so far, but, he does some things that are just, sensational. That last touchdown run, there really was a guy open in the gap, and he faked him out and went for whatever it was. What was it, 41 yards maybe? And so, he does some things that are great. We don't want to take that away from him, but there's other times where, hey, go through your progression and see if there's somebody that, you can throw it to and get a big gainer. What's the matter, Joseph?
I have a rotator cuff.
You're injured. We're both
there.
injured.
Yeah. You brought Donovan in, last short yardage. When you have a quarterback change like that, is it a tough sell, or maybe it has to do with his character that he's a team player, but to have him come in, limited action, but still contribute?
No, he's been awesome. He's he's got he's all for the team and whatever he can possibly do. He knows he's one play away from getting out there and playing every snap. The first play, I don't know if we blocked anybody and ran over a couple guys for a touchdown. The second one, I know we didn't block anybody. It was hard for him to get the first down on it. So he's really doing a great job. And like I always say, he's gonna have an opportunity here at some point in time. Is he ready for it? And with him, you don't have to worry about that. He'll be ready.
And also, I think a month from today is when the portal opens. This will be a different experience with the house settlement next year. Have you sort of thought about what that's going to be like this time around in the portal? Is it going to be different because of the way that you're going to have to deal with the revenue share and that stuff?
I don't think anybody really knows right now. It's we've had plenty of conversations about it, but I'm worried about this season with our players. I've talked to some of my coaching friends, and they're kind of having a lot of conversations with their student athletes. I want to finish a year out strong, so I'm not worried about 2025 right now. I'm worried about 2024.
What is the nature of your injury? What happened?
Broke a couple fingers, against a Utah guy who was running, and I was going to get knocked over, and I grabbed his jersey and screwed him up. So I'm on IR right now.
Have you ever played against Brent Brennan? Do you
No, I
have
haven't.
experience with him?
No, I met him at the Big 12 days. That's the only. He's kind of more of a West Coast guy, I think, is where he's been, and I know he's got a great reputation.
A.J. Halsey, just the type of year he's had. When you were looking at your roster, what do you have any first impressions of him, and then sort of what he's done? this year?
Yeah, I thought he looked great when we were watching game tape of him from last season. He's having a super year. He really does a good job. You talk about a dual threat quarterback. It's the same thing with him as a safety. He can play zone. He can play man. He's great in run support. He really is doing a great job with his overall game. Some guys are better one thing than they are another, and you don't have to hide him. He's really good at playing the run and the pass.
I know you talked about Arizona's offense a bit earlier, but what do you see from their defense? What stands out from them?
They do a few different things. They get into some odd front. They get into some even front. They'll play some man, and mix it up with zone. So they got a really multiple defensive package. They do a lot of stuff, and we got to do a good job of looking at our keys and clues as to what they're going to do to predetermine what we're going to do. You got a lot of run pass options or two plays that you have called, one better against a certain style of defense than another. So we got to really be on top of that. And that's not just the quarterback, it's everybody on the offense.